I'm the same way. I'll hear some blues. Even Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of my favorite artists of all time, has a couple songs I'm like, okay, like let's pick it up, Steve. We are rolling now. It's time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. Joining me again, the first repeat guest. We have afternoons on 1027 WXBM in Pensacola, Matt Fisher.
Hey, somebody's got to break the barrier and be the repeat offender, right?
That's right, man. You're going to open up the floodgates. Now everybody's like, hey, I want to come back on. I'm like, no, Matt's on.
That's right. That's the way it should be.
Well, our first episode was a great one. It was childhood toys and games. I think that's the most nostalgia you can put in an episode, our 80s and 90s games and toys. So that one was a super tough, and you've got another tough one for us today. What are we ranking?
We are ranking our top 5 songs from this year.
So these are, and we obviously work in country radio. These are singles or songs that have been released this year in country radio or just in the country realm. Maybe they're not radio hits.
Right.
I assume you've got a couple.
I got one.
Yeah. Because for being such a weird year, lots of great songs were released. And obviously, maybe that's because, the country artists are just sitting around like, well, we got time. Let's just create some great tunes.
Right. Yeah, they're just bored to tears going, oh, let's just release another song.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get it kicked off, man. Our top 5 country singles from this year, 2020, a year to remember. What do you have at number 5?
Number 5 is actually the one song that wasn't a radio single on my top 5 list. And it's kind of special to me because it's Jordan Davis, but I've known Jordan for a number of years. But he had a song that he put out this year, released it to his fans. And it was out. I think it'll be on his next record, but it's called Church in a Chevy.
Oh yeah, dude. That's a great song.
Yeah. Great lyrics, great storytelling. And I've always said with Jordan, he's awesome at storytelling because I can actually picture the entire song as I listen to it. Like I can visualize the song. And to me, that is the tale of a great storyteller. If I can visualize it, you're on point. So yeah. Church and Chevy, my number 5.
That's a strong one, man. That's a great pick. I usually, because I have a list that I keep for my personal self. That's the No Bad Songs Club. Yeah. And there are a few artists that are allowed in that club because no matter how good some artists are, sometimes they come out with a clunker and you're like, that one's just not for me. But right. Jordan, while still kind of new in his career, he hasn't released a ton of songs. I think he's got an EP and he's got an album and he's had, 3 or 4 hits at radio now. I don't know that I've heard a bad one, and I don't know that I've heard just a good one either from him. He has solid hits across the board.
Yeah, dude. Solid artist, no doubt.
Church in a Chevy, a strong start for Matt. My number 5 for you is technically a radio single. Like, I know stations are playing it because I've been driving across the country now multiple times this fall, and I hear it more often than I don't. I'm a big fan of this artist because I feel like the outlaw artist, especially on the main, like there are outlaw country acts and artists, right, but they aren't typically mainstream. This guy is streaming like crazy. He's super popular and he's got a little outlaw to him. He's got a little, I'm going to do what I want. And you either like it or you don't. And that's Morgan Wallen. My number 5 is 7 Summers.
Dude, love that song. It didn't crack my top 10, which I feel bad for. Now, this is the problem. I'm going to go through every song that you have that I don't have. I'm like, oh man, I feel bad. I should have picked that song too.
Well, that speaks to how good the songs are this year. There are so many strong songs for our top 5s. But yeah, and Morgan's he's got such a distinct voice. As soon as you hear him, you're like, oh, I can tell that's a Morgan song. Because he's had some great, Whiskey Glasses we're still hearing on the radio. More Than My Hometown just went number 1, and that was the big, radio hit right now. Not that 7 Summers isn't, but, it's impressive when you can put multiple songs out and they're all getting on the radio. And that's just a fun one. It's hooky, it's catchy, and you can picture, like you said, telling a story. You can picture 7 summers ago and you start thinking about your own life. Maybe not you've been married for
for a
been
few
for a
years.
few years now. But you think back to your adolescence or whatever, and you're like, oh man, yeah, there was that girl. We'd go for walks by the lake, or we'd go for drives down the back road, and you think about those 7 summers ago, man.
Yeah, crazy. All right, number four.
What you got?
My number four is this artist is one of those that it's funny because he's like a superstar because he's a nice guy, but when it comes to the career, like song wise, he hasn't hit superstar status yet. But in Nashville, he is, and that's Jimmy Allen. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody in Nashville loves Jimmy Allen, and his song "Make Me Want to," my number four.
really good one. And I think you're right. I mean, it's not just Nashville, too. I mean, I don't know that I've met a guy with more charisma that just makes you want to be friends with him. I mean, he's like the nicest guy. You want to root for him, and he's got great songs. "Make Me Want to" is such a great pick at number four.
Yeah, funny thing about Jimmy Allen is you would think you look at Jimmy Allen, you're like, he's a great guy, he's fun to be with. I took him for batting practice a couple of years ago, and the guy
Yeah.
can't hit a ball very far. Even though he plays, I know he plays slow pitch softball, but in batting practice the day him and I went, it was ugly. We had fun. That was the
I'm sure he'll appreciate you spreading the news of his lackluster baseball skills, but
Hey, he's a great singer and songwriter, though.
it's good that he's got that to fall back on. That's for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, "Make Me
exactly.
Want to." Great one. My number four for you is kind of the pick me up I think we all needed this year. There are obviously great songs that can kind of get you in your feels, kind of like "Seven Summers" by Morgan Wallen. But this one of my favorite artists, and we're gonna love all these artists. They're all very nice, and we've kind of known them for years now. But Kelsey Ballerini's "Hole in the Bottle" is just so much fun. It's upbeat. It's got, she's kind of battled the external pressure of, oh, you're not real country, you're a pop act, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
And it's like, shut up. That's a country song. I don't care what you say. I mean, all her stuff is great. But that song in particular. Now, I really loved "Homecoming Queen" earlier
Right.
this year. I mean,
Hmm.
that was a really deep song, and it didn't go as far at radio for whatever reason, but I absolutely loved it. But "Hole in the Bottle" is like, pop the
Yeah.
bottle and have some wine, and you're having a good time on a Friday night. And that's when I think country is at its best. Obviously, you have the ballads that are really strong and they
Yep.
have some staying power, but those pop bottle songs, you're in the parking lot, you're in the back of the truck, you're out in the field or whatever. That's good stuff.
If anybody argues that that song's not, I mean, country is, I mean, they're drinking songs. That's
Yeah,
exactly what that is. It's just, it's not the typical, beer drinking song. It's a little bit different, but it's exactly what it is. It's country.
and super relatable. Absolutely.
Amen. Well, we're going to stick with females on my number three. This song is to me one of the best songs of the year, and that's why it's at number three on my list. Gabby Barrett, and I Hope.
Really? Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about it, because that one is a monster when it comes to streaming and the chart. I mean, it's been hanging around the Billboard, the top of the chart for weeks and weeks now. Uh, what did it for you?
Well, so okay, I was gonna wait till the end to tell you this, but this how for me when it comes to ranking songs, if I sing it, I love it. That's it. I mean, to me, that's the determination of a great song. If I find myself sing it, because I don't sing every song, like I don't sing along to every song, but if I
Mhm.
sing along to it, that is a indication that it's a great song. And this song, I love the vindictive Nate, the tone behind it, but
Yeah.
it's like not mean, but it is, and I love that.
Yeah, it's because it's she sings it in kind of a positive way, like,
Right.
"I'm rooting for you, babe," and "I'm rooting for your destruction," you know?
Yeah. Well, a
Um,
side note, I will tell you, I do not like the version with Charlie Puth, the version that they put out in the pop radio scene. I don't think, to me, if you're going to add an artist to a song, you got to add something to the song, and I don't think that adds anything because I thought her original version was fantastic.
I think there's something to that. I think that's kinda like a Chinese buffet. Like, you go to one that's like your home Chinese buffet that you go to, and then you try another one, you're like, That one's not as good." It's kinda the same stuff, but it's not as good
Right.
because it's not the first one you had. So,
True.
I completely agree. You come out with a remix with some Charlie Puth on, it's like, nah, I like the one by my house better, man. Like I like the one that I'm used to.
Yep.
And I think you have a really good point about singing along, because not only do you not sing along to every song, but being in country radio, we listen to these songs over and over, and we hear them all the time. So if you still get your toe tapping and you're singing along to it, that is the sign of a really good song.
Yep.
My number three for you is the one that's not yet to radio. I assume that it will be at some point, but it was not the lead single off their new album this year. But some of my absolute favorite guys, I always root for them. They have so many great, great songs. Brothers Osborne, Skeletons, is just so much fun, man. You got skeletons in your closet, and you got John's guitar rocking with it. So good.
Yeah, I tell you, I have been and will always be a massive fan of Brothers Osborne from the
Mhm.
very beginning. I actually, first time I ever saw Brothers Osborne, they were on the road with this lineup, the best lineup I've ever seen. Brothers Osborne, Dwight Yoakam, Eric Church, right?
Why go to another concert again? You're done.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, and the funny thing was, is like Dwight Yoakam. I mean, you think about Dwight, the guy's a legend, I believe, in the entertainment business as a whole.
Yeah.
But so Brothers Osborne's come out, and this is like they had two singles maybe at that point in time, and so
Mhm.
you're like, okay, and they play those two singles, the last two songs. Then Dwight comes out, plays 10 songs, like five, like meh, and then the last five are the smashes. And then Eric Church comes out, and the show is just fantastic. So yeah, Brothers Osborne, dude, that is a solid pick.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things, like sometimes the one that really hits you isn't necessarily the radio hit, because All Night is the single right now. I like that song a lot too, but there's something about that Skeletons, man. Some of those
Yeah.
the deeper cuts will get you. So far for Matt, we've got Church in a Chevy, Jordan Davis at number 5. We've got Make Me Want to, Jimmy Allen at 4. I Hope is Gabby Barrett at number 3. What do you got at number 2?
I'm really nervous about number 2 all of a sudden because I'm thinking that the song might be older than it really is.
I'm not gonna hold you to the fire. If it's a little
but,
older, that's okay.
but it makes me feel bad because I'm thinking, God, do I not know what I'm talking about now all of a sudden? But
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Anyway,
Whatever.
so at number 2, and I figured that this guy's on your list. I mean, maybe because I feel like he's got to be on everybody's top 5 list every
Oh,
year
I think
lately.
I think I know where we're going. What do you got?
Luke Combs, "Loving on You."
Okay, yeah. Well, that's 2020, isn't it?
Is it twice? Because I don't know like where we're at in the year or when the year actually started. It's just been a mess of
We're in
2020. So
December, Matt.
good to know. All right, all right.
we
Yeah,
are
so
we are in the 17th month of 2020 right now.
it's so true. Uh, "Loving on You" though, man, that's another one of those songs where it's like I feel like Luke does a good job of giving us a mix of like gives us kind of a slower ballad-ish song, and then he comes out with that fire song, which was what "Loving on You" was. I mean, it just
Mhm.
kind of blows out the speakers. And another one, the top of my lungs, man. I sing that every time. It's horrible when I sing it. I'm blasting.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think that's the dumbest pick I've ever heard. You're stupid for thinking so, because my number 2 song of the entire year is Luke Combs' "Lovin' on You."
Yes, yes. I was bound to get something the same as you at one of these times.
I'm a little surprised at I guess I'm not surprised. I'm glad that we don't have more overlap than we do. Obviously, we have Luke Combs now, but so far we've had a very different list that I think kind of speaks to our individual personalities. But just pick a name out of a hat, pick a title of Luke Combs out of a hat, and that's my number 1 song. I mean, he's not number 1 here. I've got a special one that really hit me this year.
Yeah.
But uh, when I talk about the No Bad Songs Club, his face and guitar are the emblem. They are the logo of that
The
club. I
logo.
mean, he has come with heat every single song. And I think we both went with the upbeat on that, because even though I'm leaving, makes me tear up when I hear it. I've had some issues, like my dad had some, health issues earlier in the year. So I'm picturing, even though I'm leaving, I'm still with you. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. But "Loving on You," man, that's a rocker. And
Yeah.
it's both of our number 2, so there's really no denying it.
Dude, I wonder 15, 20 years from now, what what will Luke Combs be in the rank of all-time greats? I mean, you've got some of the, we still talk about like Garth as probably if not the best ever,
Mhm.
but will Luke Combs be above that 15, 20 years from now?
He's got the songs, man. He's got the songs, he's got the personality. It sucks that this kind of matters more than it should, but he looks the part too, and as
Yeah.
bigger dudes, scruffy looking guys working on the farm, working in the country, growing up rural, they see, some of the pretty boy acts or whatever, the ones that are kind of, they definitely have a brand, not that Luke Combs doesn't have a brand, obviously. He's got the Columbia, he's got the hat, but he's just a regular, he's the dude next door, man. He's the guy that'll come help you, get the firewood loaded into the back of your truck, and he'll go to the honky tonk and sing that night for free beer. I mean, he's that guy for
Yeah.
sure. And I think you have a point. I think 10, 15, 20 years from now, he's still going to be in the conversation. He's definitely laid the groundwork, and I think he's only going to continue to ascend from there.
Yeah.
So, all right, man, we're going a little quick now because we both have the same number two. I assume we're going to have different number ones, but we've got Church in a Chevy, Make Me Want to, Gabby Barrett's I Hope. We have Luke Combs' Lovin' on You at number two. What do you have? This is your favorite country single of the year, Matt. What do you got?
So this is I believe, I mean, we're still playing it right now. I can't remember if it actually hit number one yet or not. We'll find out. But I'm going to just ask you this quick question. What would you think it would be?
Oh, what do I think your number one would be? Well, I knew you were going to have Jordan Davis in your top five because I know he's your boy and he's
Right.
got some great tunes. I I'm trying to think, and if you had Luke Combs at number two, I really don't have a guess. I'm not sure. Well, you haven't had Morgan yet. Do you have Morgan Wallen in the number one spot?
I do not. I,
Okay, that's how
ooh,
tough
man.
this is.
Yeah. So, okay, here it is.
What do you got?
This one will probably shock you. Parker McCollum, Pretty Heart.
Really?
That is number one. That is
That's
my absolute favorite song that we have played all year long.
Now that you mention it, no disrespect to Parker. That's not a what? Are you kidding me? Like, oh man, you're right because that's like I'm pretty sure it's his debut song,
Yeah.
and it's a killer. It
Yeah.
it's so good. It's actually, I didn't have it down in my honorable mentions, but I probably should because you talk about your sing along
That's the
criteria.
one, man.
Every time I'm singing along to that one, that's a great pick,
Yeah, as soon as we
man.
decided to make this list, that's been the number one. I've had 10 songs that my numbers have been shifting back and forth, but that one has been sitting at the top the whole entire time, no doubt about it.
That's kind of what I did. I was like, I know what number one is. I'm going to kind of work from there. Um, man, you're so right on Parker McCollum. I should have included him but I don't know what I would knock off. That's what makes this so hard. It's not easy,
Amen.
but that's a great pick. To run it back for you, at number five, I've got Seven Summers, Morgan Wallen. I've got Kelsey Ballerini, Hole in the Bottle at number four, Skeletons, Brothers Osborne at number three. My number two is Luke Combs, Lovin' on You. Shout out to the big boy beard. Number one is also a personal pick. I think she belongs in the No Bad Songs Club. She's got two or three albums out. Every single I've been a huge fan of. But this is the song I remember sitting in the rental car in Indianapolis. It was JC Coffee and Chris Lamb from Big Machine. Uh, sorry, let me pick up these names I just dropped.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whoa, it's getting deep in there.
I'm not trying to big time you, Matt, but here we are. But no, that's common in radio. The record label will say, "Hey, we want to play a new song. This is what we got coming up. Coming down the pike." And they played me Carly Pierce and Lee Brice. I hope you're happy now. And that song, if you plucked it out of 2020 and you put it in 1998, or if you put it into 1987, it works. It's catchy, it's hooky, it it's so relatable because you felt that. The music video also helps because it's got the split screen of what happens with the guy and what happens with the girl. And I'm obviously a huge Carly Pierce fan. And Lee Bryce, she wrote it with Luke Combs. So there's your Luke shout out at number one.
Weird.
But Lee did such a great job on that song. It won CMA for Musical Event of the Year, and deservedly so. I just absolutely love that song.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've always been one that can't figure out what the issue is with female artists in country today. I mean that they're not getting. It's not the female artists themselves. It's just the industry for whatever reason doesn't give as many females their due. And I feel like Carly is one of those artists that I mean, she's fantastic and she's had, some success here and there, but it's not like up until this point, I feel like it's like, oh, Carly's that fringe female. And then
Mhm.
this song comes out, and now you're like, okay, wait a minute. That's Carly Pierce, and that's what we've been waiting for.
You're right. She had a great number one with Every Little Thing. Hide the Wine, I absolutely loved. For some reason that, did what it did. Um, but this one was a smash, as much as I hate using that word, I really do. It was a bop. I love I Hope You're Happy
There
Now.
you
But
go.
now the momentum, you're right, is kind of, she's got Next Girl out, and she just released Show Me Around. We just talked about that with our episode with her. Um, just some incredible songwriting and
Yeah.
just the vocal performance on the songs. It's nice when they start to pop a little, and I think you're right. I think that's starting to happen now. What honorable mentions do you have? Because I know you've got a CVS receipt list of songs like I do, but let's only do a couple. Otherwise, we'll just start naming off everybody we love.
All right, I'll give you my number 6 and 7 songs on my list.
Mhm.
Number 6, Travis Denning and After a Few.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. That's actually one of my honorable mentions as well. I think it might have come out in 2019. Um,
Eh,
but I don't care. It got most of its airplay in our radio world this year, and that's just a great song.
yeah, and then my other number 7 then would have been Kane Brown's Homesick.
You know, I am a huge Kane fan, so no disrespect to Kane, but I didn't love Homesick as much as I love to Lose It,
Yeah,
which I think is a little older. But that's the me where I'm like, oh, it's kind of slower. I like the more like I
yep.
like the little more up tempo, but that's a good song. I think Kane always comes with some. He doesn't do a lot of bad stuff in my, even when he's branched out. He's collabed with Marshmello and Top 40 Radio. That's a really good song. But yeah, Homesick's a strong pick. My number 7 for you is kind of a more recent one, so maybe it just needs more time for it to rise if it's going to. And I remember I told you the first time I heard it, I was a little like, I don't know if I like it. It's a little, kind of monotonous. But the more I sat with it, the more often I heard it, and I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. This is a great song. Chris Stapleton's Starting Over um,
Yeah, okay.
is just, Stapleton to me is one of those just virtuoso. Like I could just sit and watch him play guitar and sing for hours. He's just that talented, but that's a really good song.
Yeah, I think of Stapleton, and I will tell you up front, I think Chris Stapleton, one of the most talented musicians in the business. I run hot and cold with Chris Stapleton, and it's nothing against him. It's just,
Mhm.
sometimes I hear a song and I think, dang man, that is a great song. And I hear that and I'm like, it's okay. I mean, it's still good, but it doesn't blow me away like the other song did. Like
Sure.
I go back to what was it? What Are You Listening To? Remember that single? That's early Chris Stapleton. That might even be his
Wow.
first single.
That's a real throwback. Yeah.
And that's my favorite Chris Stapleton song of all time. I love that song. So it's I struggle with every song after that, but they're all good.
You
Just
know,
where they weigh against each other is the problem.
sure. No, I get that. That makes sense though, because, you know, with the music industry being the way it is across genres, it's not country, it's pop, it's rock, it's a lot of them. They kind of find a lane and then they stick to it. And Stapleton's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to release a pop record. I'm going to release a blues record. I'm going to release a more rock and parachute. I'm going to do that kind of stuff. And so you're going to miss sometimes when you're doing different things. I know I'm going to enjoy certain artists because I know it's going to be, no disrespect. It's going to be, I know what's coming. I know
Right.
I know they're going to stick with what's worked in the past. Um, and because Stapleton is so bluesy, I'm the same way. I'll hear some blues. Even Steve Ray Vaughan, one of my favorite artists of all time, has a couple songs I'm like, okay, okay, like let's pick it up, Steve. So that makes sense that he would, hot and cold, hit or miss. But when he hits, though,
Yeah,
it's
true.
good stuff. Well, dude, strong end of the year list for us. I'm glad you picked this one because even if you hadn't wanted to do this episode, I probably would have done it on my own. I would just blogged about it or posted it on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
What are your plans for the holidays? We got Christmas right around the corner. What you got going on with the fam?
Absolutely nothing. My dad
That sounds
actually
amazing,
he's
by the way. When you say
yeah,
nothing,
we're so used to for years we had to run. It was like run one house to the next, to the next, to the next. So now that we are not close to family anymore, we can relax a lot more.
sure.
Last year we were on a cruise for Christmas, so clearly that isn't happening
Little
anymore.
different this year.
A little different. So
Yeah.
yeah, not just gonna be mellow, just hanging out at home, doing that kind of thing, open some gifts, and we found it. Cards Against Humanity Family Edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I can't play with my 11-year-old in the original.
No. Or your older kid. I wouldn't be comfortable doing that either.
That's true. That's true. So we can reel it in. I'm actually anticipating great days of games with that thing coming out later. So
That's awesome, man. Well, I hope you have a good time with the fam. Be thinking about what our next top five is going to be. I've
oof,
got some ideas. I know you've been cooking around some ideas too, and we'll do something fun in the new year.
sounds good, man.